The Road to Healing, the story of Charlene Richard. The story begins in 1947 when Mary Alice Richard and her husband, Joseph Elon Richard, welcomed their second child, a girl named Charlene. She grew up with the same interests as other girls her age and had an extremely active imagination. On an otherwise typical day, Charlene came running in from playing in the fields in a frenzy. She told her mother that she had seen a tall woman dressed in black, and the woman had stopped her. She couldn't see the woman's face, and when she asked the woman what she wanted, the woman disappeared. Her mother dismissed her. The next day, Charlene told her brother John that she had seen the woman in black again. He dismissed her as well. About a week later, Charlene returned home from school with a note from her teacher. The note said that Charlene should be taken to a doctor because she was not acting like herself. Within a week, Charlene was diagnosed with acute lymphatic leukemia and was told she did not have long to live. She was admitted into a Lafayette hospital. Charlene rarely complained about her pain and would offer up her sufferings each day for another person in need. On August 11, 1959, Charlene succumbed to the disease and passed away, just 16 days after her admittance to the hospital. But this was only the beginning. According to Father Brennan, a priest who visited Charlene in the hospital and became close to her, he was so impressed by Charlene's great strength and faith that he began asking for her help shortly after her death. He returned to her room in the hospital and asked Charlene to help a man who was dying that had separated himself from the church. That same night, Father Brennan received a call from the man asking him to administer the sacraments. From that day, Father Brennan began asking for Charlene's help on a daily basis and spreading her story, even though he didn't think people would believe him. Father Callis was told Charlene's story. When he became ill in 1961, he began praying to her for good health in a new parish. 2 weeks later, he was assigned to St. Edward's Parish in Richard, not knowing this was Charlene's home parish. He began a mission to build a new church in the small parish, but had little funds, so he asked Charlene for her help yet again. Money began pouring in, and 2 years later, on Thanksgiving Day in 1963, Father Callis said the first Mass in the new church. Over the years, the stories of her intercession spread. To reaffirm the beliefs of those who doubted, people began sharing their individual stories. Angelique Mercantile is a living miracle attributed to Charlene. When she was in the womb, she was diagnosed as a Down syndrome baby. Jean Mercantile, her mother, who was a Lake Charles, Louisiana native, began praying fervently to Charlene. According to the family, in the following hours, a transformation began. When the doctors examined Angelique again, she was declared perfectly normal. There is also the story of Alice, the premature baby of Tina and Paul Graham of Lafayette, who had been taken off life support and waiting to die. Her grandfather, Gerald Taylor, placed Charlene's prayer cord on the dying infant's body. Immediately, the gray body began to pink up, and the baby began breathing on her own. All of the hospital staff have signed their names to written statements claiming that they had witnessed a miracle. But how did the people who knew Charlene feel about this supposed saint? Florine Daigle, a native to Church Point, Louisiana, recalls the story she was told about Charlene.
But she has done so many things to help so many people. But like I said at the beginning, when they started praying to her, it was very hard for the people who had known her, she had played with their children, they'd say, she's no saint, but then so there was more people from out of the Richard area who was praying to her than the people in the Richard. But now I would think that there's very, very few people in Richard who would not believe, because it just, just people continuously coming and praying and having such faith.
Teresa McGee, a woman who had gone to school with Charlene, stated, "We came from a typical Cajun community where no individual is placed above all others, where pride and its ugly cousin pretension are scorned above all other sins. It was inconceivable that one of their own, who had played with their children in their backyards, who had faults like everyone else, could be a saint." but believe they did. Charlene's story spread throughout the world, and an association called the Friends of Charlene was started to work towards the canonization of Charlene. Many people, whether they be local or from all over the world, make trips to her gravesite daily. They leave rosaries and petitions on her grave, and stories of Charlene's intercession continue. Whether this special child will actually become a saint is yet to be seen, but she has helped reaffirm the faith of thousands, including those in her home parish, who continue to make devotions to her daily.
There is hope for me, yeah, because God